Hello trainers, Professor Palm here, and I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you all so much for everything that you've done for me. You guys have tuned into my videos, left comments, subscribed. You guys have done so much, and I have to be honest, when I first started, I didn't even think I could even get this far, let alone that I could even get over 10 videos or even 10 subscribers. But you guys changed everything, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And today, I think that we're going to do something very special. After all, it's my 50th video, and this calls for a celebration. Today, I think we're going to talk about something very, very special. I'm going to talk about my most requested video from so many of you guys. I'm going to talk about the little evolution Pokemon itself, Eevee! But not just Eevee by itself. We're gonna go all out and talk about the entire Eeveeloution family. Isn't that great? Since so many of us really love these Pokemon, I thought this would be the perfect Pokemon to cover for a 50th special. For me, this is nothing more but a dance party. Dance, dance, evolution. Dance, dance, evolution. Yeah, yeah. Go Eeveeloutions. Whew. Sorry, everybody. I was just really excited because of what we're going to be covering today. Looking at all these guys, there is a lot to cover, but I think we should do it the right way. I think the right way to start this video is start at the very beginning with little Eevee and its original 3 evolutions, Flareon, Vaporeon, and of course, Jolteon. I also want to thank subscribers and viewers just like you. If you are not subscribed yet, please do so, but again, that's all up to you. I want to thank fellow subscribers Phoenix the Pharaoh, Kibby Wibby, Erica Parday, Spacey Grace, Ava Solomon, Cardro, Felipe Grande, Neptune S. Nova, and of course, Icarus Ari for the request of this video. Icarus Ari, I also want to give you a very special happy birthday, my friend! Eevee is your favorite Pokemon of all time, and I hope that this video makes you very happy, especially since it's coming out on your birthday. I want to give a huge thanks to Etsy artist Tree Shirts for this shirt. This one is called The Rainbow of Eeveeloutions. For those of you who really love Eevee and its evolutions, this is a great shirt for you. I wanted to wear this because this is the perfect shirt to wear for what we're talking about today. I gotta say, for artists like Tree Shirts, you definitely should give them some good business. While I may not be sponsored by them, I definitely wanted to give them business because why wear a boring shirt with a stock image when you can give good business and even encourage young artists like this? I think it's time that we get this stone on the road. Oops, I guess I should say show on the road, but actually we're talking about the Stone Trio, and we're going to start this video off correctly with the little fox and evolution Pokemon itself, Eevee! Eevee the evolution Pokemon lives up to its name because this Pokemon can evolve into many different Pokemon, and it has a ginormous branched family. Currently, there are a total of 8. However, I believe that there are more to come. Eevee is the mascot of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. It's also your starter as well as partner in that game. However, this wasn't the only time that Eevee was your starter and partner. This also happened many years earlier in the game Pokemon Conquest. However, for those of you who play Pokemon Yellow as well as Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, your rival will be the one who chooses Eevee as their starter, making Eevee the only known normal-type starter to this day. For those of you who are big fans of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series, it's also possible to get turned into an Eevee. However, this only applies if you choose to play as a female in those games. Eevee has an unstable genetic makeup that allows this Pokemon to change its typing upon evolution. Its genetics also help this Pokemon adapt to different environments very quickly. The question of why Eevee has such an unstable DNA actually still remains a mystery to this very day. There are many reasons why Eevee is such a beloved Pokemon. It has such an adorable smile. It has such a cute fuzzy mane and very tiny little paws. The big fennec fox ears that Eevee has are just so adorable to look at when it wiggles those big ears. And most of all, Eevee has such an adorable little tail. Just looking at that thing, you can't help but want to pet it as well as rub your face all over it. Another major reason why this Pokemon is so beloved is because it's extremely rare to find in the wild. And once this little fox crosses your path, oh boy, does your heart jump for joy, and nothing will stop you from wanting to catch one of these cuties. In many recent polls of cutest Pokemon, Eevee oftentimes takes the #1 spot, and it's no surprise. This Pokemon is so well loved that Pokekids in the Galar region even wear costumes of Eevee now. Did you know that before Generation 4, Eevee was a 50-50 gender rate of male and female? As of Generation 4, it's now an 87.5% chance of being a male, while it has a 12.5% chance of being a female. Since Eevee has a very rare chance of being a female, and a lot of its Eeveeloutions have a feminine-like appearance, those of you who own a female Eevee, consider yourself very lucky. That is what we call in Pokemon a fateful encounter. As of the games Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, Eevee now says its name whenever you encounter it or when you send it out in a battle, which is very similar to Pikachu as that started in Generation 6. In the Alola region, Eevee has its own Z crystal, known as the Eeveeum Z. It also has its own special Z move, known as Extreme Evo Boost. This move can only be taught to Eevee if it knows the move Last Resort. What this move does is it powers up every one of Eevee's stats. Eevee made its anime debut in the Pokemon Indigo League episode, The Battling Eevee Brothers, under the ownership of Mikey, who really didn't want to evolve his Eevee like his brothers did. Speaking of the anime, it wasn't until the Diamond and Pearl series until we finally saw an Eevee evolve on screen, with Ursula evolving both of her Eevees. Many of Ash's traveling companions have also raised Eevees themselves. Every one of his companions that has done that has always been a female, with May, Serena, Lana, and Chloe. They have all caught and raised an Eevee. There are also major male characters like Gary Oak and Gladion who have also raised Eevee. Interesting to note that both of their Eevees have evolved into Umbreon. In the Pokemon manga, Red owns his own Eevee, which he named V, that can de-evolve. This Pokemon can also re-evolve. It can change its decision of which Eeveeloution it wants to be and when it wants to be that Pokemon. That's a pretty cool Eevee, I gotta say. Too bad Pokemon has never released one of those into the games, because that would be really cool. When it comes to strength and weaknesses, Eevee, being a normal type, is only weak to fighting type attacks, and being that this Pokemon is a normal type, it does not have anything that it's super effective on. Eevee is just such an adorable Pokemon. Who can't fall in love looking at that adorable smile and that cute face? But I think we're all here to watch this Pokemon evolve. So why don't we take a stone? How about we start with the Water Stone, and let's give it to Eevee and watch as it evolves into the Bubble Jet Pokemon itself, Vaporeon! Vaporeon, the Bubble Jet Pokemon, can only be evolved into by Eevee if you give it the Water Stone, and watch as it turns into this incredible Aqua Pokemon. It definitely can make it rain. Vaporeon is based off of the ancient creature, the sea lion. Not the real animal, the sea lion, the lion with fins. And its beautiful fennec fox ears resemble fish fins. These fish fin-like ears were originally black from behind in Generation 1. However, as of Generation 2 and so on, they keep the nice yellow texture that they have on the front. While Vaporeon's slippery fins help this Pokemon swim very fast, they also are a bit of a weather detector. You see, whenever you see this Pokemon's fins vibrating, it means it can tell that rain or even a storm is coming very soon. The incredible mutation that this Pokemon underwent from evolving with the Water Stone gave it fins, gills, as well as scales. So this Pokemon can breathe as well as live underwater as long as it wants to. And it's a really fast swimmer. I gotta say, for those of you who really love water Pokemon and like going diving, take this Pokemon with you because it's a great Pokemon that can get you places very fast underwater. Did you know that Vaporeon has the ability to control water? It can also change fresh water into salt water and vice versa. Also, this Pokemon's incredible genetic makeup helps it blend into the water, and it looks kind of like as if this Pokemon melted into it. So, the next time you go swimming and you feel something very slippery but you see nothing, you probably just swam right into a Vaporeon. On land, Vaporeon also can do something really cool. This Pokemon can turn its form into water, but still stay in its pure form. Very similar to what Eeveeloution from the Fairy Tail series can do. Just like Juvia, Vaporeon can also change its molecules at will. So this Pokemon goes from a liquid to a solid, as well as a solid to a liquid. That's incredible! Being that it is a water-type Pokemon, Vaporeon live close to the water. They prefer clean and clear water, as well as beautiful shores to inhabit. Oftentimes, they're found resting quietly curled up on the shores. Oftentimes, trainers mistake Vaporeon for a mermaid because of its lovely tail. Some scientists even believe that the missing link of merfolk lie within this Pokemon. Also, since this Pokemon has the ability to turn invisible underwater, it can never be seen by the naked eye. In the games, Vaporeon is the signature Pokemon of Kimono Girl Kuni, who could be battled at Ecruteak Dance Theater. Vaporeon also has the highest HP base stat of every other Eeveeloution with a total of 130, making it a great Pokemon in competitive battle if you want a team with high HP base stat Pokemon. Vaporeon made its anime debut in the Pokemon first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, where it was under the ownership of Fergus, and then it was under the ownership of Mewtwo, who took that Pokemon and cloned it to make it its own. However, it made its main series debut in the Indigo League episode, The Battling Eevee Brothers, where it was under the ownership of Reiner, who had recently evolved his Eevee with a Water Stone. Vaporeon is also my personal favorite of the Eeveeloutions. The reason why is it was the very first Eeveeloution I ever had, and I got it in my very first playthrough of Fire Red. Using the Water Stone on my Eevee was the greatest idea I ever did. This is one of my favorite Eeveeloutions of all time, and to this day, I always get it and always use it anytime I can. When it comes to strength and weaknesses for Vaporeon, Vaporeon is weak against grass-type attacks and electric-type attacks. However, when it comes to strengths, this Pokemon has many. When it comes to Vaporeon's strengths, it's strong against Rock-type Pokemon, Fire-type Pokemon, and of course, Ground-type Pokemon. Surprisingly, Vaporeon also has a major strength to Water-type Pokemon because of its ability Water Absorb. So, instead of being hit by a Water-type attack, it instead restores its HP. However, if water isn't your style, don't worry, there's plenty of other forms that your Eevee can evolve into. Vaporeon is just one of them. How about instead we give our Eevee a little Thunderstone and watch as the sparks fly and it turns into Jolteon. I gotta say, looking at this Pokemon, I'm pretty ecstatic. Jolteon, the lightning Pokemon, can only be obtained through evolution by giving your Eevee a Thunderstone. Shocking, isn't it? Jolteon is based off of herding dogs, but it also has a little bit of Fennec Fox thrown in because of its ears. Also, like the legendary beast Raikou, Jolteon is based off of Raiju, the thunder beast from Japanese mythology. There's something very special about Jolteon, as it's the odd one out of the Eeveeloution family. It's the only Pokemon of this line to lack a tail. However, the hairs upon its rear are very helpful as they have the ability to bristle and they can fire off like darts. And trust me, when these things pierce skin, they zap very hard. Despite being the odd one out, Jolteon are very affectionate and very playful Pokemon. Oftentimes, it loves to show affection to its trainers as well as its friends by giving them a playful little shock. Yeah, it hurts, but it's kind of their way of showing that they're very happy and that they're there for you. If you're not a fan of the idea of getting a playful shock, kind of like a joy buzzer, I would tell you that you should be happy about this playful shock, because at its true power and when it's at its game, Jolteon can hit you with an attack up to 10,000 volts. Wow. I don't even know how anyone could survive that or even what you would feel after that. I gotta say, maybe in Back to the Future, Doc Brown and Marty could have used this Pokemon to help power the flux capacitor, rather than relying on a bolt of lightning, plutonium, or even Mr. Fusion. Even though Jolteon are very playful Pokemon, it's surprisingly sensitive, and it becomes easily happy, sad, angry, surprised, or even disgusted, and every time its mood changes, it charges the power because of this. Since this Pokemon is always generating electricity throughout its body, its fur always stands on end, and when you're next to it, your hair will stand on end. But if you also really like getting the afro haircut, or you just really enjoy having your hair up, this would be a great Pokemon to help you with that style. Even though Jolteon's fur always stands up, you can tell when it's going to attack as its fur moves different ways, and its fur even sparks ever so slightly before it even uses a single move. So at least you have a bit of a warning when it's about to attack, as you see it sparking a little bit. But I don't really think that's going to do you much, even if you can run away from it. For those of you chemists and scientists, you should know that Jolteon, being an electric-type Pokemon, generates a lot of negative ions into the atmosphere, especially when it attacks, as well as when it summons lightning. Something really cool about this Pokemon is Jolteon's lungs contain an organ that creates electricity. The cracking sound of electricity can be heard every time this Pokemon takes a breath or even coughs. So yeah, it's not the sound of thunder, it's just the sound of your Jolteon getting ready for battle. In the video games, Jolteon is the signature Pokemon of Kimono Girl Sayo. It's also the signature Pokemon of your rival in Let's Go Pikachu, Trace, as he evolves his Eevee into Jolteon. Jolteon has the fastest speed of all Eeveeloutions with a total of 130, making a Pokemon that would be great on a team of speedy Pokemon, for those of you who love competitive battles based on speed. Jolteon made its anime series debut in the Indigo League episode The Battling Eevee Brothers, where it was under the ownership of Sparky, who had recently evolved his Eevee into Jolteon with a Thunderstone. This Pokemon was also a major character in the mini-movie Eevee and Friends, where it guided Pikachu, Pansage, Oshawott, and Axew all around its house with Eevee and Sylveon. When it comes to strength and weaknesses, being that it's an electric type, Jolteon is only weak to ground type attacks, making it a great Pokemon as it only has a single weakness. But for strengths, this Pokemon has many. When it comes to this Pokemon's strengths, Jolteon is strong against water type Pokemon and flying type Pokemon. Jolteon is also very strong against electric type attacks. The reason why is because of its ability Volt Absorb. Very similar to Vaporeon, when Jolteon is hit with a electric type attack, instead of doing damage, it instead restores its HP. Since Jolteon's extra organ in its stomach makes it sound like it can produce its own thunder from its mouth when it breathes, it also has the ability to generate its own electricity, so this Pokemon can be a living generator for you if you need it to. And since it really loves lightning as well as being out in storms, this Pokemon acts as a lightning rod, so never worry again about being struck by lightning. When this Pokemon's struck by lightning, it feels like a relaxing massage to Jolteon. They even sing in the rain as well as in a thunderstorm. But what Jolteon really loved the most are electrical storms. It loves watching the sparks dance. After all, this is the Pokemon that gets the sparks flying. However, if you're not a fan of electric-type Pokemon, nor if you're a fan of water-type Pokemon, you can always pass on Jolteon, or just stay with little Eevee. But there's also another thing that you can turn your Eevee into. For those of you who want something warmer and you really want to turn up the heat, why don't we give our Eevee a Firestone and watch as Eevee turns into an incredible flame Pokemon, Flareon. Oh boy, do I feel that sizzle. This Pokemon is smoking hot. Flareon, the flame Pokemon, can only be obtained through evolution by giving your Eevee a Firestone. I gotta say, since a Firestone isn't always easy to find, that really burns. However, since this Pokemon is really good, I gotta say, it really knows how to turn up the heat. Flareon is what you would get if you crossbred a lion and a red fox together. You get this fierce, fiery creature with such a soft, fiery tail and a beautiful, fiery mane. When looking at Flareon's tail as well as its mane, don't you just want to rub your face all over it? I gotta say, I love the fur, and I would love to feel how fuzzy it is. However, I would definitely advise against doing that, because the only thing you'll be feeling is a burn. You see, Flareon has the ability to raise its body temperature up to 1600 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I think that's a burn that you will never forget. On the bright side, this walking volcano of a Pokemon has the ability to change its fur's heat anytime it wants to. So yeah, cuddling with this Pokemon can be achieved. The only thing that you really need to do is at least befriend it or at least train it well. Some people say that Flareon's fur is so soft that if you stuff a pillow with it, you have the softest pillow in the world. However, since this heat also still generates even after its body is gone, you should probably know that this will be a very warm pillow, but it probably might be great, especially during a very cold winter. If you thought that Flareon's body heat with a whopping 1600 degrees was hot, you haven't heard of the flames it breathes. Since this Pokemon has a special flame sac in its stomach, it can breathe flames up to 3000 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow, that is extremely hot. I gotta say, I think being near this Pokemon might even give you a sunburn. However, there's something kind of cool about this Pokemon. Other than the fact that it can control flames and it likes hot places, it's actually a pretty decent chef. You see, Flareon likes to eat very hot food, especially spicy food. It oftentimes likes to eat berries and prey, but it cooks them to perfection. You can probably even roast a hot dog or even a burger on this thing's fur. Well, you'll definitely have to take that fur off, but it'll cook to perfection. Yeah, so for those of you who really like barbecue, bring this Pokemon with you. It'll make a great barbecue. When Flareon is scared, feels threatened, or gets very angry, it'll heat up its entire body, and the entire area around it will be consumed in a heat wave. So yeah, sometimes it could be the coldest day ever, and this Pokemon's body can generate an enormous heat wave, which can be very helpful for those that are very cold. But at the same time, this Pokemon can accidentally start forest fires. So yeah, it's best not to really tick off this Pokemon. Other than being able to breathe fire as well as generate body heat, Flareon can also ignite its tail, its mane, and even its hair on fire, which is pretty cool. I definitely would love to see what this Pokemon looks like with its entire body being on fire. It probably would make a great Pokemon partner to the Ghost Rider. If you think that Flareon likes to live in hot places like volcanoes as well as in the desert, you actually would be surprised to know that Flareon really like to live in cities. It's very rare to find them in the wild. I guess they just really like being in social areas, and a lot of children love this Pokemon, which make Flareon very happy. While it can be very shy, once you earn this Pokemon's friendship, it'll always be there for you. While seeing this Pokemon's fur on fire is breathtaking, what you didn't know, and for you chemists out there, is that depending on the mood that Flareon is in, it can change the color of its flames. While it sadly cannot change them all the colors, it can definitely become warmer or a very cooler warm. You could see it as red, yellow, or even orange. However, if you put the right chemicals on its fur and let it ignite, it'll also start burning different colors. Too bad that this Pokemon isn't like Ho-Oh and it doesn't have rainbow fire. But with the warm colors, I think that's pretty cool on its own. In the video games, Flareon is the signature Pokemon of Kimono Girl Miki, who can be fought at Ecruteak Theater. This Pokemon also has the highest attack stat base for all Eeveeloutions, which can really help you if you like normal attacking Pokemon competitively. If you're looking for a new Pokemon to fill the spot, give this spot to Flareon. It's a great Pokemon to have at all times. Flareon made its debut in the Indigo League episode, The Battling Eevee Brothers, where it was under the ownership of Pyro, who had recently evolved his Eevee into Flareon by giving it a Firestone. This Pokemon also was the very first Eeveeloution to evolve on screen, thanks to Ursula giving her Eevee a Firestone. When it comes to strength and weaknesses, Flareon is weak to Water-type attacks, Rock-type attacks, and of course, Flareon is weak to Ground-type attacks. Now, when it comes to offense, this Pokemon has a lot of strengths. For its strengths, Flareon is strong against Grass-type Pokemon, Ice-type Pokemon, Bug-type Pokemon, and of course, Steel-type Pokemon. Flareon is also very strong against Fire-type attacks. The reason why is because of its ability, Flash Fire. When Flareon gets hit with a Fire-type move, Flash Fire activates, and unlike Jolteon and Vaporeon, which gain health back, it actually boosts this Pokemon's fire attacks. Yep, so you can't hurt this cute little fireball with any fire-type attacks. A lot of people call this Pokemon a cutie, and it's very hard not to see it as one. It's a adorable ball of fire. How can you not want to hug this thing? Well, then again, maybe you should wear fireproof clothing so you don't get burned. Well, then again, it is very true to the saying, when you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. Because when you mess with this Pokemon, yeah, you're gonna get a burn you will never forget. I have to say though, it kind of upsets me that we never really see this on a fire-type user's team, especially someone like Blaine, who this really would have been a great Pokemon. Kind of sad to see him just pass it by. But, whatever. A lot of us oftentimes went for this Eeveeloution, and why not? It's a very good one. While it does have the most weaknesses out of the original three, it is a very helpful Pokemon and can take on a lot of opponents for you. And as always, why not take this Pokemon with you? Especially if you're lost or you're feeling cold, it'll act as your own campfire. And hey, since it also likes to make food, it also will be your own personal barbecue. There are many names for Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon's group. Some people call them the OG Eeveeloutions, and some people, like me, myself, call them the Stone Trio. After all, these are the 3 Eeveeloutions that required a stone for evolution. Did you know that the Stone Trio are also based off of the same creatures that the legendary beasts Entei, Raikou, and Suicune are based off of? Some fans, even myself included, believe that the 3 Pokemon who died and were reborn as these legendary beasts at the Burned Tower were Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. Though we'll never get a real answer, it's what a lot of people think of after seeing that episode of Pokemon Generations. In the recent games, you don't really have to wait for these Pokemon to learn any moves of what typing they become, because now, when a Pokemon oftentimes evolves, it learns a move right off the bat. With Vaporeon, it automatically learns the move Water Gun. With Flareon, it automatically learns the move Ember. And of course, with Jolteon, it automatically learns the move Thunder Shock. Yeah, that these are kind of weaker moves that the Pokemon learn, but then again, sometimes we get these Pokemon in the very early stages, so why not learn these cute little moves? Looking back all these years later of what Eevee could become back in Generation 1, it is pretty interesting to think that it actually had a variety of choices, unlike other Pokemon that were fixed to only one evolution. When Eevee had to look at the stones, Maybe it was best to give Eevee its choice of what it wanted to become instead of forcing it to become something you wanted it to be. It wasn't until Pokemon Platinum is when Eevee became a Pokemon that you could find in the wild. Until then, Eevee was only given to you as a gift Pokemon by someone, and you could only evolve it into a single Pokemon. Back in the original games, Red, Blue, and Green, you had a choice of what to choose to evolve your Eevee into. However, sometimes people didn't like to evolve Eevee and like to keep it as an Eevee. If you were one of those people, I don't blame you. Eevee is an adorable Pokemon just as itself. Even though Eevee has plenty of other Eeveeloutions, it's really hard to look back at the three and not feel so much nostalgia looking at them. These guys are the OGs, and they really put Eevee on an incredible track. After all, how could Eevee be where it is without these guys? After all, they all are a big family. Since Eevee is a very beloved Pokemon by so many people, as well as its family, it's oftentimes you'll find collectors with all of these Eeveeloutions on their team. Definitely in the Pokemon Platinum game, where you could find two different collectors with all of these Pokemon on his team. After all, it's hard not to want to have all these Pokemon on your team. It's just annoying, though, back then that you could only get one when you wished you had unlimited Eevees. There's no wrong choice for which Eeveeloution you choose of the original three. All three of them are great. All that matters is what you wanted and that you're happy with them, especially with the fact that you have a Pokemon as powerful as this by your side at all times. So, did I cover one of your favorite Eeveeloutions already? Or is it a different one? Well, let me tell you, my fellow viewer, there are more to come, so sit back and relax because I'm doing the entire Eeveeloution line. This is only just the first dance. But if you liked what you've seen so far, please leave a like. If you're excited to see what other Eeveeloutions I'm about to cover, please tune in to the next video. But if I also covered something that you didn't know about this first wave of Eeveeloutions, or I covered your favorite one, please comment to let me know. And most of all, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And don't be afraid to recommend me to a friend, especially if your friend really loves the Eeveeloutions. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Palm out!